I'm Jim Gary, and welcome to Batilipi's Workshop. As you know, I've been doing a complete refurbishment of the brake system in my 24-year-old Workhorse-based motorhome. I'm at the point where it seems I just need to adjust the rear brake shoes and the parking brake cable, add power steering fluid for the hydro boost, and finally add brake fluid and bleed the brakes. In this video, we'll go through those processes only to find a major problem right at the end. And as always, I welcome any comments or suggestions you may have. If you found this interesting, there are links to my other videos in the description below. So please like and subscribe. Now let's get on with the video. It's time to adjust the brakes. And the idea is you tighten them up. There's a little sprocket back in there and use a screwdriver. And I made a mark that if you lever it up, that spreads the shoes apart, making it tighter. So I'm adjusting the back right rear brakes. And I can still turn the drum just fine, so I've got to move the adjuster until the shoes start to rub on the drum. Oh, that's starting to get some resistance, I guess. I go a little bit more. It's still turning, just the hub turns just as well. And I've turned it enough that I've got just a little bit of resistance when I turn the brake. I'm going to go just a little bit more. I could still turn it with one hand. I had it adjust all the way in when I put the hub back on. There, that did it. Now it's really hard to turn, but I can still do it with one hand. But I'm feeling it, so I'm going to leave it there. I think that's pretty good. So we'll go over and do the other side now. So I'm back on the left side now, and I can turn the drum just fine. And you can use a screwdriver and reach that adjusting wheel in there, but it's easier if you have a tool made for that. It's got a wider grip. So I'm going to go ahead and tighten this up, and you can hear that sound of the wheel turning. I'm just going to do a little bit at a time until it just starts to catch. Alright, just starting to catch. And it's hard to undo it because it's got a device to prevent it from going backwards. It did though, so that's good. So we'll leave that there. And now we're going to go up to the parking brake. And in this case, there's a pedal in the front to the left in the driver's seat cab, and what it says is to push the lever down 4 clicks and then adjust the parking brake cable to where it just starts catching, slowing down the brake drums. So here's the adjuster. I'm just forward of the left rear wheel, and this is the adjuster part, and up here is the actual cable. But as you can see back here, my jack that I've got holding up this vehicle is impinging on that cable, so it's making it a little bit tighter. And you can see here by the color change, this is when I loosened it when I was taking off the drums. So I loosened it almost 3/4 of an inch. And I checked the parking brake, and there's only 6 clicks to the lever when you push it down. And it's a long way to the first click. And what I found is that as it is now, when I just put 1 click on, the wheels don't turn anymore. With 0 clicks, if it's all the way up, the wheels turn just fine. But it made me realize until I get this off the jack stand here and remove, so this isn't impinging there, I can't really do this adjustment, but I can do this really easily later. It's just a 1/2 inch nut that I have to turn. So right now it locks up the rear brakes completely at just at the first click. And that's fine for now. I'm not going anywhere anyway. But when I get it all back together and get the fluids in and have the hydraulic system working, then I'll put the wheels on, take it off this jack stands, and then I'll come back in and adjust this as needed. I'm in the front compartment of the RV, so here's the radiator and the engine's that way. You can access it through a doghouse. But here is the power steering fluid, and it says power steering fluid, so I'm sure of that. And if you look underneath it, there's 2 hoses coming out, a metal one and a rubber one. But let's crawl under and take a look. So now we're underneath the driver's seat by the left front wheel. And here's that thicker hose and here's that thinner hose. They both connect to rubber hoses. The thinner one comes over and connects to the hydro boost directly right here. And the thicker one goes back to the right of the master cylinder, and this must be the power steering pump. So that's where it attaches. Now, when I put in the hydro boost, I drained all the fluid out. So I'm going to have to put the fluid back in, and that requires running the engine. So I'm going to fill it as much as I can and see if I can get the engine to start. So I'm going to wipe off around there. Take the lid off. And I can't really get a funnel in there too well. And what I've got is this Prestone power steering fluid. A little bit of dribbling, but not too bad. Over full, so it's got to dribble in there for a while, so I made a big mess. Now, what I should do now is go try to start the engine and let that pump pull that down and then come back out and top it off again. So I haven't started this up in a couple of months, maybe 3 or 4 months. So one thing I did is I installed a battery cutoff switch, so I got to turn that on. This is a really nice one. It clicks really well. It's not cheaply, it doesn't feel cheap, and it shows how many volts I've got. Plenty of voltage. And I turn my key on, and my rear view monitor goes on, and my side view monitors are going on, and my Boss audio system that also works with Android Auto and all that comes on as well. So let's see if we can get it to start. Just needs a little gas. Get my foot on the pedal. I don't have a car seat here. It's a little rough, but it's going. Just needs to be run some. And of course the ABS and brake lights are on because there's no pressure in there. But I'm pretty happy. So we can go out and check the fluid. Yeah, it's definitely empty. So I'll pour more in. Again. So we'll go in and turn the steering wheel back and forth. I had put ethanol-free gasoline in there and also put fuel stabilizer in it. So that's good, it started. So it's still full. Probably is over full, but I'll worry about that later. So that's good. So we've got power steering fluid in there. And I need to look for leaks in a bit, but this is good enough for now. This is my OMT power bleeder. I just ordered it to help bleed the brakes in my motorhome. So let's take a look and see what we get. So mine's a Workhorse based motorhome, which is pretty much GM. So it's got that big rectangular reservoir on the master cylinder. And that's what this is for. This is so you can clamp over it to do the pressure bleeding. Looks like it came with O-ring and some other parts. Not sure what that is. This is just a reservoir to have. I guess you could hang it by this loop and hook this up to whichever one you're bleeding from, whichever wheel you're bleeding from. And here's the main device. Works kind of like those sprayers you use in the garden. It's got a silicone hose, and it has a quick connect to connect onto the cap that goes over the master cylinder. It looks really clunky, but it's GM has been using these really wide ones, so that just clicks on there. And it uses these chains and all that to connect this around the master cylinder so it gets a seal around where that rubber is. And I've heard on the plastic reservoirs like mine has, it can be a little bit difficult to get a good seal, but I'll have to worry about that when we get to it. So those are all the parts. I wasted an entire week trying to bleed my brakes. I won't go over it all now, but I'll return to it later. I was never able to get any brake fluid out to the wheels at all. The ABS module was apparently full of air, and as it turned out, I couldn't get brake fluid through the ABS. So I finally bought a GM Tech2 OBD2 scanner, a clone, which is supposed to be able to bleed Workhorse and early GM ABS modules via its software. So that's what we're going to look at next. I ordered this on eBay about 2 weeks ago, and it came from China. In fact, it ended up at the Hong Kong airport sat there for a whole week before it finally got put on a plane and sent to Alaska. And then it sat a couple days in Alaska. This was all UPS. And then they sent it to, I think it was Tennessee or Kentucky, I forget which, where it sat for 4 more days. And then they finally shipped it down to where I live. So I got it just a few hours ago. And I've been waiting for this for a long time. So let's open it up, see what it is. It comes with numerous kinds of cables to power it and many devices to hook it into a variety of different cars using OBD2 and also other kinds of ports. And it also comes with a DVD and a CD with documentation. To use it, all I needed was the scanner itself, the OBD2 connector, and then one of the power supply options. So what this is a clone of the GM Tech2. It even says GM, even though it's not. And this is supposed to be set up for GM. So this card here should be the GM card. So this is what I'm hoping to use to diagnose my Workhorse motorhome, if it will work on it. Now, my motorhome is a Workhorse 2000, year 2000. And most of the OBD2 scanners you can buy on the market will not work on an older Workhorse. They'll work on Workhorses from 2004 to 2008, but not before 2004. But this one supposedly will work before that. So let's take a look at it and see what it does. Let's go in and see what happens. So I'll turn on the power. I've got my ignition on, so it's warming up or booting up, and then it says, say, enter to continue. So we want to go into diagnostics. I'm going to select the year. So mine's at 2000. And it's a light duty truck MPV or incomplete. Mine's an incomplete. Enter. And then we go to chassis. Enter. And it wants to know the product line. And mine's a P32, I think. And I've tried all of these, and this seems to be the correct one. And then I get this, caution, ABS braking is not available when ABS lamps are illuminated. My ABS lamp is definitely illuminated. So I just hit continue, and now I'm at the 4-wall sensor, and that's what I want, so I hit enter. And now notice it doesn't give me the ability to bleed it, because if I go to special functions, it's not there. There's a function test. Go there, and it simply says diagnostic trouble codes are set. You have to clear diagnostic trouble codes before testing. So hit exit. So I can't do that, but let's take a look at what the diagnostic code is. So we'll hit, here it is. The current diagnostic trouble code is the right front speed sensor or circuit is open. So these ABS units have speed sensors. And mine just has them on the front wheels, so the right one isn't working, it says. And we can check that by hitting exit. And by the way, it won't let me clear it. I tried clearing it. It wants me to turn the ignition off and back on, which I've just done. It's waiting for the data. And it's unable to clear it. And I've been around and around with this, and it definitely will not clear it. So I was curious, does it really work? So let's go, is that really the problem? So let's go to data display, enter. And if you look here, you'll see left front wheel. I don't know why it's starting at 5 kilometers per hour. And the right front wheel is starting at 5 kilometers. We're motionless, we're up on blocks, nothing's running. And then rear wheel speed, there's no rear wheel speed indicator. So I think by 5, it pretty much means 0. So I'm going to set the tripod up, and I'm going to go out and move the front right wheel, and let's see what happens. So I'm going to go out and turn the right front wheel, and you should see the highlighted one go from 5 kilometers up to somewhere between 5 and 10. So that's the front right wheel. And as you see, it didn't move. And now I'm moving the front left wheel, and you should see that one moving up. It was quite a shock to discover that I can't bleed the ABS module just because the right front wheel speed sensor has failed and replacements aren't available. And believe me, I looked. Without the wheel sensor, the ABS wouldn't function even if I were able to bleed it. So what now? Well, the best answer I can find is to simply delete the ABS module entirely and replace it with a modern adjustable proportioning valve that will at least coordinate the front disc brakes with the rear drum brakes. So expect a few more videos about removing the ABS module and replacing it with a Wilwood proportioning valve. I've put links to the other motorhome related videos I've done below. Anyway, thanks for watching. If you're interested in similar videos, please like and subscribe. Bye.